Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I want to point out that after I exited out of this game, the last recording, EA Origin asked me to select a different place to install games because they couldn't access wherever the default place was. And so I selected a folder and then my computer immediately locked up. So I can't really blame that on Mirror's Edge as much as I can blame that on EA Origin, or it could just be something completely unrelated. The whole reason I'm even playing this game is to put my computer through its paces to see if it's running into problems or not. I made a bunch of changes. I've put the RAM back into the replacement RAM back into my computer, so I've gone from 32 gigabytes back to 64 gigabytes. So if we see this game load half as fast or twice as fast now, that would be the reason. It's been very slow. In theory, it should kind of work that way, but in practicality, it probably doesn't work that way. I bet the loading is fairly limited not by actual RAM speed or the amount of RAM, um, which the RAM speed actually wouldn't really change too much, even though it is double dynamic rate DDR RAM. Um, the probable limitation is actually in shader caching and pre-compiling shaders for the textures in the game and putting that on the hard drive, which would then be limited to the speed of your SSD. That's a lot of technical stuff, certainly, but I wanted to point it out that this would be the point if things start acting wonky or different. Uh, that might be the reason, although I don't really know the reasons as to why my computer has had any of its problems in the past couple of months. So we're going to break into Kruger's apartment, which is either in this building or that building, I would assume, and we're starting this story quest. Um, the story is odd because it's not really even been explicitly said whether your sister escaped or not. Like the the assumption is that yes, Kruger Sec freed your sister Isabel Kruger, or under a new name, as soon as she got to the surface. Uh, but they didn't kind of directly say that, so I also wouldn't be surprised if they decided to say that Isabel Kruger is just in her jail cell underground again, um, or she's in a jail cell above ground somewhere in a safe haven. Um, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we go through this story quest and we we run into her. Dogan did not break your legs. On the contrary, it seems he has a vested interest in seeing Reflection destroyed. He claims that Kruger's grid print can be grabbed from the internal Kruger family network, which can be accessed from an apartment Kruger keeps in the view being this general area, I think, unless that's actually the name of the building. This is a high security residence, but the plastic might have a way for you through the Malice Art Museum located next to it. You should expect Kruger Sec personnel in both buildings, but they will not be expecting you, nor will Kruger. The time has come to take the fight to them. This very much could be the beginning of the end of the game. Uh, I'd kind of completely forgotten about the idea we were going through a museum, but honestly, I don't expect this.
Cutting Kruger's like around.
Best to avoid them.
No.
Hmm.
It's time to face them.
There's a lot of security we can see. Not a lot of art. Like, what's the point of even having an art museum at a certain level? Like, there seems very much to be only one art style that's even allowed in this society, even amongst the rich, and it is an incredibly non-copyrightable, minimalistic art style. Like, it would kind of make some sense if there were concept arts of locations for those to be used as paintings. So you would get into museums and rich buildings and there would just be a painting on the wall and it would be a concept art of the game itself, of the environment. Now, of course, a concept art of Faith or any of the characters wouldn't work as a painting. It might work as a wanted poster, although a wanted poster in such a technologically advanced society doesn't really make a lot of sense. Again, I suspect this is going to be the second location where we actually are going to be capable of taking out people using parkour moves.
Control, we got a runner that fits the description.
Yep, and even at that, though, it's still very, very easy to hit the wrong button and do the wrong thing. I suspect there's not going to be any collectibles in this mission. Although there is definitely a chance that there is actually collectibles in all these missions. And they just are rare enough in their occurrence. And then, once again, we have the yellow wall. Although this yellow wall is also kind of orange-yellow. Yeah. Says something Kane, somebody's actual name. I wonder. Well, that was an awkward slide. That glitched out. I wonder if the game wouldn't have been better. Let's see. John Kane light sculptures. If plastic simply showed you an echo of what they wanted you to do, like, it probably wouldn't be terrible if there was just an assistive technology like that in the game that you was toggled on by default as part of the runner's vision. If it was fully rendered particularly and not just something that that is just a red dash, but if there was an actual echo, which these echoes that they want you to play in the multiplayer never show up in the actual game. I barely made that.
Alright, I'm inside.
Yeah.
Good. You need to work your way through the building to the top floor.
Yeah, and
From there, you should be able to access Kruger's lobby if the schematics are correct.
I almost wonder if all of these names on these sculptures and nameplates are actually the people that made these 3D models or some form of almost credits. What's the flickering about? It's just flickering lights under from behind. There's literally nothing in this room. I wonder if this is an experiment on trying to figure out, could you have one room that's empty as kind of a checkpoint or a following action section, and then one room that is full of security?
We have the runner girl right here. Send an ERT.
Don't get killed. Come on, monsieur. And remember, top floor, then maintenance.
Alright. So you can't watch any of these light sculptures or do anything because you're gonna be constantly shot at. The odds of me surviving this is pretty much approaching 0. And it doesn't seem like you can actually knock off these people with the disruptors. It seems to me like that they only allow you to knock people off the ledge if they happen to be a fairly weak person. So this is potentially a boss level amount of difficulty, and it's almost certainly going to reset you. See how he just does not want to fall down? But what is this game really? Is this a game where you run? Or is this a game where you fight? Because it really can't be both. Like, so you have to. They needed to make a decision, and they chose not to make that decision. Honestly, I'm not sure if running solves anything either. This might be a case where the actual game in this actual section does not finish until I've taken everybody out. I don't think this guy was affected by the disruptor either. Like, he may just be such a weak character that he doesn't have any electronics on him for a disruptor to mess with. And of course, the visuals of having the kind of artsy helmets are cool and all, but it's really just to hide faces. They've also completely given up on the pretense that any of these Kruger-Sec people are female. We hear dispatchers that are female. This is funny because this is exactly what I expected would have happened on the hackable billboards, is that they would be these projected holograms that would potentially pop up and scare you, and you would run through them. And yet none of the billboards have that, and you only see this in this post point. Having a speaker here is fine, but it's unnecessary. It's not visually interesting. Again, I think I've messed up there. Like, and they're gonna throw a sentinel at you. Yeah. It's not really valuable to have female cops if you're not gonna really commit to it. You could easily just say that this is a sexist society and Kruger is a sexist that only trusts men. I mean, you already have Kruger being more than willing to Um, interesting. There we had kind of that loading hitch again. And if anything, the loading hitch got longer there. Yeah, you already have Kruger basically kidnapping and brainwashing a child in Cat. This guy does not seem to even be affected by the disrupt that much. Let's see. And if you try and turn and run, you die. And apparently resetting does mean you don't get the collectibles. Like, I just don't see a real way to not use a disrupt here and or not have to. Let's see if this hitches in the same place. Nope, it doesn't. If anything, that's disconcerting because it really should hitch in the same place if it is a problem with the game itself. Alright.
Subject will
Yeah. Just get in there and escape. I wouldn't be surprised if that is hard programmed so it kills you without killing everybody in the place. Well, every time you make a check spot, you get some refill of health. So the game is sort of trying to help you, but I don't know if they're really helping you that much. Yeah. Because it still seems like it's fairly easy to die. Clearly this game does not work the way it should work.
When you're through, you need to go all the way down again. From there, you should be able to reach the lobby.
Like, the way this should have worked is that should have been with the 10 hours of gameplay that I've put into this. Plus, it's probably been 10 or 15 hours. Interesting, there's an odd invisible wall. Nope, it's not an invisible wall, it's just something in the way. Again, the camera not really looking upward. Like, clearly I should be a good enough player at this point to have made it through that section and feel like a superhero and feel cool instead of struggling through that section and feeling like I'm just awkwardly escaping conflict.
Are reacting to the commotion in the museum. Looks like they plan to intercept you in the lobby.
Let them try.
Yep. So now this is going to be even more difficult, it sounds like. We're heading towards a major difficulty spike, it feels. I almost would expect to just like choose like taking out a sentinel isn't gonna save me when I have like all these other guys also wrecking me at the same time. Like, it would almost make more sense if sentinels, once knocked out, took out everybody around them and had some kind of like explosion of EMP energy or something. Alright. Like, how can you even run up to a place? Like, they want me to do some major looping or something.
She's hurt. Finish her off.
And there's a collectible up here? This is just ridiculous. Alright. So then, if you could get up here, turn around, run and jump, maybe you could avoid all of that. But I just don't think they even plan for you to do it that way. The idea here is terrible. Like, really, they should have just given you guns like in the first game if they were going to play this way. Like, if I could just have stolen a gun as an option and then use that stolen gun just to shoot everybody in here. Sure, there might be some players that think they don't need it or actually don't need it, but I think the vast majority of players would end up totally benefiting from just being able to shoot.
Once you get through, you might be able to climb the elevator shaft to the apartment.
That's stupid. There has to be another way.
That's just an awful experience. Interesting, also, there is no door here. Like, this is drawn as if this would be a bathroom for a male, female. And yet, they didn't put doors there. They just put a single door. At least that's what I would assume those symbols are there for. Again, maybe there was originally an underlying concept of sexism in this game. And they just eliminated it as a concept. Says there's a briefcase somewhere around here. But I have no idea where it would be. Almost certainly this isn't the last time we're going to run into a situation like this. Like, I imagine Kruger as a character is going to be something like a sentinel, and there will be more fights. There will be a fairly difficult fight that happens around beating him up and killing him, unless the game is just going to really throw us a bone and show us a cutscene where we defeat him. In the first game, there kind of was a cutscene that killed Kruger.
I was on my way to see Noah when it happened.
What happened?
They're raiding the lair, Rebecca. I've never seen so many Krugers stuck in one spot. Not since the November riots.
Oh no. Noah,
I wouldn't get my hopes up.
did you see Faith? Or Icarus?
I don't think they were there.
If they're still alive, they'll be distraught. Noah was like a father to them both. I'll contact Icarus and offer them sanctuary. And you avoid Kasek. I don't want to lose you to this.
So yeah, we're getting more backstory as far as that character that Rebecca loves, but it really doesn't feel like anything that important. Yeah, and there's just no telling where that briefcase is. I seriously doubt at this point I would spend the energy to try and get all the collectibles in this game. At best, I'm gonna try and get all the grid leaks just for fun, and I really would have to question my definition of fun to even do that. We may try all of the races once. Remember, I've also upgraded my health quite a bit here, so there is a scenario here where somebody has trying to beat this game without any upgrades, and if they had gone in that direction, like, that would have been just 2 healths. And I just seriously doubt you're going to be able to. Anybody would be able to beat the game at that level. Let's see if the hair glitches out.
Faith, are you in the main elevator?
We're going up.
Didn't seem to be any
Yep.
other options.
Still hair glitching.
It seems you're in
And
the
the lips
clear.
don't move.
For now.
Good. I'm sick of hiding. And Kruger still has no clue why I'm here anyway.
At least not yet. And Plastic thinks she can tunnel into the system and download the grid print without him noticing.
I know I can. He'll never know we took it. But Faith needs to connect me.
See, and this is exactly where the news articles would have appeared in the original game, is that there would have been a screen there with a wall of text that you could have read as it was loading. And honestly, if the hair was glitching and they caught that the hair was glitching when trying to debug this game, they should have just gone back to the old style. This is a very odd visual effect of waviness on the glass. It's trying to do some kind of like reflection or something. And real fish, maybe that's supposed to be a big deal, but it would almost make more sense to have some fish in Dogen's apartment and have Faith look at the fish and talk about them. That's a great way you could have characterized Dogen and Faith, to say Dogen's so rich he has real fish, and Kruger is even more rich because he has more fish. Like, Dogen could have had one real fish.
Fancy.
Faith, you want to connect to Kruger's own terminal. The apartment has a home office from what we can see on the schematics. Try there.
Yeah, and you're saying this is fancy, and sure, it is fancy, but it's not like I am the dictator of a country fancy. It's not gold toilet seat fancy. It's not even that far off as far as being decorated as the other apartments we've seen in this same area. I don't know what these blue lines are about. You can see flat picture textures basically of ovens and double sinks and textures that are just not shown anywhere else in the game, which is something new, but again, not really that fancy. Like, where's a TV in every room? Why are they still using these big wall panel TVs when the safe havens had the clear glass TVs? Are the wall panels somehow better? Like, where's the gold silverware and fancy tea sets? Here you have just a very generic tumbler, coffee mug. Like, where's the banned books? Where's the collectibles? Where's anything really? Where's the piles of gold or money? Of course, all of those would be more textures that there's really no reason why you would ever build them. Art-wise, there's not even that much art. And the music is indicating to me that we may run into Kat here. We'll just walk through this door and find her sister, and I suspect she'll probably let you have the grid print.
No, Avani needs to hear the bad stuff too when the time comes. Now tell me what he said.
The bastard raised the price. He wants 20% more due to increased risk, he says.
Damn. I should have expected this. I'll talk to him. Work out some kind of trade.
It just so happens that he asked for exactly that. Said he had a job for us, which would be enough to pay our dues.
All right, let's work it out then. Does Trine and Firebird know?
We can update them later. Better get this done before I lose my nerve. Never thought I'd...
These names are...
Did you know Faith was working for him when she was captured? At least that's the word on the beat.
Yeah? That would explain a few things.
It would. Let's go.
So the travelogue stories seem to not really matter or connect. Here you have a rock garden. Again, more textures. Like...
Found his office.
Place the shotgun, and I'll copy the grid print to it.
I am shocked, really, that there wasn't somebody in here. Like, is this some kind of brain connection device? And then, yeah, you're back to computer screens with curved things. Maybe it's computer screens versus TV screens. There's just one interact, even though there's two prompts.
Shotgun in place. Connecting.
We got it. Now get out of there.
Faith gone. Wherever I turn, there you are. I should have recognized you from the first time.
This is the first time we've talked in the entire
You and your
game.
sister are quite alike.
She doesn't know who I am anymore. You brainwashed her.
I raised her to the best of my ability, provided her with an excellent education, and taught her how to lead. It's what any father would do for his daughter.
Except she's not your daughter, Kruger. Wasn't it enough to have our parents killed? You had to take Cat too like some damn trophy.
I saved her life. You left her to die, remember that? As for your parents, they were unfortunate casualties. Those were chaotic days.
I was there. My mom defied you, and you killed her.
Your mother was a brilliant scientist who refused to change with the times. It is fortunate that she is survived by some of her research, yes.
Research you're using to enslave everyone.
You understand little and know nothing, Faith. There are things here at stake far greater than your self-centered, myopic view of the world.
Really? Buck November is just gonna blow up the whole
The only language you
building?
and your kind speaks is destruction. Stay where you are.
Faith, the explosion messed up the security system. I got the terrace door open. Get out of there before the VTOLs arrive.
So now it's just run for your life.
Maybe you could ride one of those down. Are you out? You need to get down from there. Fast.
Alright. So the drones are different than the VTOLs. And this is just a cutscene. That's gonna end up putting you, I think, back where you started.
Finally.
That is very good to hear. Bring the grid print here. We'll wrap the reflection virus in it, and then we should be good to go.
Then maybe Icarus can leave. Kuma thinks it's crowded here.
I'm sure Icarus will be happy to get out of here.
So, like, kind of quickly falling action there. I thought that might really be the end of the game, just in that one quest. We've now upgraded everything we can upgrade. So, I think if we get any more XP being chased by Kruger Sucker or anything, it's not going to really mean anything. Like, you can see at the top, it's just going to add to that. And there's a massive amount of gameplay that we haven't done. So they clearly balanced the skill points in such a way that you didn't have to do any of the overworld content. Which, if you're going to not force the player to play your game, then it might as well not be content in the game at all. I guess this is a slide rope. I thought this was maybe a grapple point, but I guess not. Let's come down here and grab this since we caught it. The story of this game is not written to any level of detail, so it's totally pointless for Kruger to make an argument to say there are things you just don't know and you have a myopic viewpoint on life, because it just kind of doesn't mean anything. Yes, we still have the door open to Kruger actually being a good guy and trying to use reflection to get rid of the high cast and actually help the mid cast and the low cast, which wouldn't change everything really. It would just change who's in charge, or who's in charge comparative to Kruger, who is the real person in charge.
Camera malfunction. Section 12. Please investigate.
But I also would heavily suspect that they're not even going to bother to go in that route, and Kruger is just going to be the mustache twirling bad guy that he's been depicted as up until this point. It would make more sense, since you haven't bothered to even characterize Kruger or Faith that much, and odd that the first conversation with Kruger is nearly at the 80% plus mark of this game. It might be that they just have the sister use maybe her access, if she does have access, to use reflection to take out the high cast. It also wouldn't be super surprising if Rebecca gets in charge of reflection and she uses it just to kill all the high cast and send the city into chaos, because she is very much in that terroristic action. Yes, we could try and do this fragile delivery. I don't even care enough to try though. So yeah, I guess if Rebecca threw the entirety of the city into chaos and set herself up to be a potential like the potential bad guy of a potential sequel. I cannot hit this guy. We might as well do this at the moment, because this will let me know what getting extra XP possibly leads to. And as we run through these generic rich people's houses, you can definitely see that Kruger's apartment was not that extravagant.
Delivery opportunity assignment nearby.
Unidentified employee, they're calling you. Alright. I don't really know where I'm supposed to be going, and I'm not sure that I can reach where I'm supposed to be going. I guess I was supposed to go up this way. Isn't this the... Yeah. So that got me 100 XP and glass shattering. So clearly that's supposed to be something that happens in like a cutscene. Or that was going to be something that happened in a cutscene at some point. So 100 XP more doesn't do anything. You're just playing for numbers at this point.
Erica Connors, research log 128. It's done. And it will work. I know it will. I've run the simulations more than 100 times and the results are consistent. This is it. How to proceed from here. Any corporation that gets its corrupt hands on it will only bury it deep down where it cannot disrupt the power structure they're so carefully erecting. Oh, and oh boy, will it disrupt it. It will destroy it. I'm going to have to encrypt it somehow. Representatives from both Sylvine and Everdine are already asking troubling questions. I think they suspect that I'm onto something, though they don't know the half of it. Maybe if I... Oh, could that work? It might.
So the twist here...
I'm sure she is. I'll be along in a minute. Just need to finish a train of thought here.
You're thinking about how to hide it, aren't you? Oh boy, seems like we have a little emergency. Come out when you're ready.
So, the twist here, almost certainly, is that the tattoo, the pattern, disrupts reflection. So, putting this tattoo and scanning the tattoo in some way seems like that's going to be the way to undo reflection or stop it from working. And then perhaps at some small level they are going to once again try and imply that you disrupting reflection now makes this somehow connect as a prequel to the original Mirror's Edge. But there's still too much weirdness going on here for this to really feel like the story, this could be a prequel.
I gather the mission was a success.
Faith did it.
As expected. Only thing left is to destroy reflection.
I know of you, Dogan. What is your interest in this exactly?
Who is Alien?
I have an ongoing business agreement.
Aileen.
The conditions
Oh, she's
have
the...
changed over time, as have the goals. But isn't that the case with all relationships?
Possibly. I just don't see how you can profit here.
Well, one might say that I thrive on chaos. And what else would follow the demise of the families? At least until the masses get wrapped up in their next failed attempt at governing themselves.
You think destroying reflection will bring the conglomerate down?
Yeah. But it's a start.
Dogan is kind of a, I guess, anarchist, maybe even more than you would describe Rachel as an anarchist. Yeah, Aileen is the, like, genetic chemical engineer lady who really should just be Noah. And you could have certainly had that sequence where Noah, they say chop off his legs instead of killing him. And it would still be pretty impactful if they just horrifically mutilated him, not mutated, and that so he could never run again. It would even thematically make a lot more sense as a way of hurting a runner, is to make them lose their legs. You could even thematically have hinted at that with Birdman, who's too old and seems like he can't run anymore because he fell or broke a leg. I think that's what they said. And I guess if you had done all of these side missions when you first ran into them, there would be considerably fewer that you would be running into now. I wouldn't be surprised if most playtesters, though, did not ever interact with any of the side missions. They probably had just a small percentage of their playtesters assigned to check the side missions, and the people who were actually playtesting from the beginning into the end, if there are any playtesters that actually playtest games from the beginning to the end. Often I think that's not how it's done. There should be a few people that feel the full experience, and I'm not sure playtesters actually do ever feel the full experience. But yeah, this unique experience I'm having by not really caring to do the side missions has had a lot of people yell at me to try to encourage me. We'll keep on grabbing these for really no reason. This is an interesting architectural thing, but doesn't seem to do anything. Doesn't seem to be connected to any story element or any mission. Let's jump over here and come up here. Very often you would just be on the top of a building, so you wouldn't even get the right camera angle. Yep, there's Krugersek again. Let's get out of here before they find me. This game really screws the player over with bad instruction. Like, if they had told me from the beginning of the game that I should have been using the disruptor on cameras, if they had shown me other players who were using the disruptors on characters, if Icarus had been running around doing that instead of just spray painting his name in some places, then that would have really informed me as to what was possible. As far as how you can just disrupt and destroy all the cameras in the entire overworld map. But they're not even giving you XP for it. Not that you need XP, but they've so deprioritized it. It does feel like more of these pipes are having the kind of glowing data cables in them than I originally thought did. Okay. The trick here is to take this jump, take this jump, and go here. And then now we can go into Plastic's lair. So do we walk in here and find Kruger arresting Plastic, or Dogen kidnapping Plastic? Or, like, what would be the silliest thing is this just ended the game here. We give the grid print to Plastic, and she takes down Reflection, not Revolution. Although I guess it will be a revolution one way or the other. Here we have a voice changer, Rebecca, talking on the TV. Sounds like. Which they really didn't do anything with the TV broadcasts. Yeah, it would really suck if this was the end of the game. Here's Aline.
My daughter has been recovered, and Black November severely decimated.
So here's how you know that the sister was recovered. At least they're saying she was recovered.
Kruger's Act exists to protect you, but we cannot protect those who will not take the measures to protect themselves. Adhere to policy, be ready to adopt new security initiatives, and above all, be vigilant. I am Gabriel Kruger. Thank you.
Really would have made a lot more sense for every screen in the city where there were a lot more screens to show that kind of information. And these are TV monitors, flat TV monitors instead of the clear see-through monitors. Yeah, I heavily suspect though this is going to send us at least back to Dogen. If not, I would suspect it would take us to a different area. Let's see what this leads us to. Take us to that final tower in that final area. But
it hurts.
Parkouring in an area that's been bombed
The gestation process can be a bit uncomfortable.
would be weird.
My spine is itching.
An itch doesn't hurt. Could help induce comparative pain.
No.
I have the grid print.
Give it to me.
What did they inject
We
with
need to merge
Icarus?
Kruger's grid print with a nanite shutdown protocol before the shard collapses.
Why does it matter if the shard collapses?
Because Faith has to go up there and insert the virus.
Oh. Hey, how you holding up?
It burns.
False statement. No combustion detected.
Seriously?
Whoa. The grid print really gives us access everywhere. What do you
I don't
want?
even remember
Habitat
the story
operatives,
telling us that they were going to
weapons.
inject something into him.
Reflection first. Focus.
Kuma.
It shouldn't be long.
She mentioned Project Ares. I think that was what happened in the original game. Oh yeah, Icarus did get shot and injected with something, and then they just released him. And the assumption is that that would just be reflection, but maybe they injected him with something else. You just never know. Alright. We have to subvert the glass public transit system to get to the shard, which is not smoking on the map. And that is the end of the game, I suspect. It would totally make a lot of sense for that to be the end of the game.
Faith, I know how to get you to the shard. If you could help me access the city transit control hub, we could send a train out there with you on it.
On my way.
Seriously, I pressed Y. And this is an opportunity mission. That was just an intervention mission. Had nothing to do with anything. Again, no points in no point in doing them. I am so shocked that the cameras actually stay broken. Like, I've exited the whole game, I've loaded back in. They are saving their state. It's probably a little funny that that's the thing that I find the most irritating about this game, is the fact that they didn't tell you the cameras would stay broken and that you should be disrupting them. Like, everything else is a little bit more forgivable, although a lot of things are frankly not forgivable as far as just bad characterization and bad writing. If we jumped. Nope, can't jump. That is definitely a point where improvement could have been made, certainly. To have pads at the bottom of any ladder section so that you could just jump and then land flat. And I guess since some of these pathways are built around having the disruptor ability and they didn't want you to be able to just go everywhere, the game probably should have given you a weak camera disruptor at the start of the game. Or just spray paint. Like, since they made that whole cutscene of the guy graffitiing, and they kind of implied that there would be a lot more graffiti in this game than there actually is, it would have made a lot of sense to, by default, have a spray paint ability where you could run up and spray paint the cameras, and that would disrupt them instead of using an electric disruptor. Not everything has to be technological. If anything, the runner's ideas of kind of doing things old school smack in the face of the idea of everything having to be technological. It's not even worth it. Like, I was gonna go and get the basic kit, but honestly, it's not worth it. Like, to save yourself time, since the advanced kits and basic kits don't do anything for you game-wise, it would make a lot more sense to simply beat the whole game, and hopefully go back to a peaceful mode. Do all the runs, dashes, races, delivery missions, hackable wall things, just every single thing that's collectible. And from that point, then fast travel to each of the layers to get the kits and all the customizable stuff. But again, you're in a very weird position where the only reason why you'd even want any of that stuff is if you were going to try and play this online. And I have to just assume, I'm not going to test it, but I would have to assume that the online experience at this point is non-existent. Like, there might be a server somewhere that has a ton of beat LEs just flooding the map. I wouldn't be surprised if they have an algorithm that randomly selects just the first 100 beat LEs on a map. Interesting. Complete coverage is over here. If I was going to go to that, I would miss this side mission. Let's see if we can do that, and then we'll work our way back. At least we could feel like we accomplished something by doing all the side missions. It does feel like we're going to have about 15 side missions and 15 main missions. That's another great example of rolling and the rolling leading to your death. Which might be the only argument against not having a way to just upgrade your rolling ability so that it would automatically roll whenever you landed. There's a whole bunch of grid leaks in this area. I would have thought this area would have had considerably less of that. There's still a ton of cameras around here, so unless I continuously parkour to refill my disruptor.
And I'll have complete access. Can you do it, Faith? Thanks. Kumo will be happy.
So I didn't even look at the prompt there for that submission, but I don't think it matters too much. Alright, let's look around. If I grab this one first and then this one, are there any more hidden somewhere? Doesn't look like it. Like, okay. So then you'd want to do that, and then I just have no idea. Get that out of the way. I think you've got to jump from the roof. Okay, that does tell us there's 2 out of 4. It almost feels like they're implying that you should be able to reach up and grab all of these and fly. That would be crazy, certainly, if this game did give you some kind of rocket pack flying ability. Okay, the question is, can we get up there? I guess we can. Let's get that. That should have probably been a roll. Let's grab this and then grab up here. Okay, that doesn't work. Let's go and grab this while we're thinking. Jump, 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 run, 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 run.
Thanks. Kumo will be happy.
Okay. If I come back this way and do this, I can get that one. I can get this one. I can jump up to this and do this. And do this. This one, oddly, does kind of feel like the odd man out.
Keep going.
And then where's the last one? There's 2 more somewhere that we just have not even seen.
Thanks. Kumo will be happy.
And they're over there. Okay. So I think you start here. You grab this one. You run this way.
I'm tracking.
run this way to grab that one. You grab this one. And then it's just going to be a matter of rolling with the flow.
Thanks. Kumo will be happy.
Yeah. Unless there was possibly a better way to... Yeah, I think we already collected that one. These icons really should disappear. I guess maybe you could jump this way and see if that rolls, but it didn't.
I'm tracking. Keep going.
Alright. We should have enough time.
I have complete access. Now let's...
And see, that got me two
Oh, and thanks, Faith.
2 achievements for doing that. Some more. We completed all side missions downtown. I think we probably completed all side missions, period. Yeah, nope. Exit strategy. Well, you know what? Let's just fast travel to this. And let's do this other side mission when we start the next recording. This is a great point to measure how long it takes to load. Yeah, it's still taking a ridiculous amount of time. It did not for a second feel like that was any faster with having 4 sticks of DDR4 RAM in dual channel mode versus 2 sticks in dual channel mode, which that's what I expected, is that there wouldn't have been.
Was like your dad, right? I'm so sorry.
And wow, you get more characterization from a random person just talking to you than you do in the cutscenes. Yeah, it is really not reasonable that we're going to try to get all the computer chips. Unless they just started showing up on the map. Again, if you just could do this and then automatically running up to this would grab it and break it, or spray paint it. We may run that direction. Guess we are running that direction because that's not the side mission we're looking for.
We got a visual on Faith. All units, be advised, we have a potential suspect tampering with reports. Control back to unity. Confirm my subject. All units proceed with caution. Vehicle inbound. ETA momentarily.
Okay. They're just all over the place. These guys are just gonna keep on coming. And I've clearly just not been in this area. Because if I had been in this area, I would have gotten these grid leaks. There's nowhere to go. Like, there really is nowhere to go. Like, that area is locked off and blocked off, and if you have bad guys chasing after you in several different locations, like this jump here locks you into this area, and I have no clue as to how you would get out of that area. So here we have a girl with, it looks like it's just a pocketbook. Beatrix. I have never even heard of Beatrix. So we are oddly being given a new character as we are approaching the very end of the game to do a side quest with. There seem to not be any other side quests, but that doesn't mean that there won't be more side quests. But yeah. It definitely feels like we're going to end this game on a whimper, as it were. Still have like no interest in really doing the runs or the deliveries. There's a ridiculous amount of documents that we haven't found. So it really is approaching a point where it might make a lot more sense to just get a 100% save file and cheat that way so that you could read all the diaries stuff if you really cared about the story. I would say the documents and stuff probably are somewhere on the internet, but honestly I'm not 100% sure anybody cared enough to even type up what the documents say. Same is kind of true with the recordings. Like, there's a real lack of ease of access as far as the recordings and the documents, so that's probably going to affect people's interest in the story. Storyline wise, we can see we are 93% complete, and at such a high percentage, I have to assume that means that the percentage goes to 100% once we finish the next story mission. If not the next one, the one after that. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is another one after that, that it is a fairly isolated boss fight or just cutscene. The percentage does not seem like it's counting any of the collectibles in certain story mission areas, and you can see that 5 of the 15 potential story missions don't have any collectibles in them. And it probably would have been better if that was always the case. It seems like none of the side missions have collectibles in them. As far as achievements, I can say on Steam we have 23 achievements still to collect, so almost certainly there's a achievement for getting further in collectibles, as far as opportunity missions, billboard hacks, surveillance, grid leaks, documents, secret bags, and electronic parts. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an achievement for every time you cross a triangle and get one more kit. And then there is a final achievement for getting everything done. Because some of the achievement icons do have like gold borders around them. most of the achievement icons are just these really generic, ugly shapes. Like, they're not really depicting anything. I'm a little surprised we've even made it to 44% as far as the collectibles in the overworld. But I definitely don't feel like there's anything motivating me to try and get the remaining 56%. And in the same way, I don't know if there's going to be anything that would motivate me to want to do any of these races. It's very odd that I even made the top 30% for Birdman's route. That was like one of the very first races we did, and everything else seems to be top 100% because I just tried it and failed it. That would be my assumption, is that I did not finish this race, or I finished it very poorly for each of these. And then there's clearly a bunch of them that I either just walked by and they are showing up on the map because I walked by them, or just because they've unlocked. Yeah. It is ridiculous that they use this icon with the tattoo when you never have that tattoo in the game. Like, getting it for the last 5 minutes of the game is not going to be acceptable. We are, like, completely now done with probably picking up kits, so we won't get any more echo appearance modifiers. And we're 100% done with getting upgrades for any of our abilities until we beat the game. So being at 30,000 is exactly the same as being at 28,000 or 60,000. I almost wonder if some of these increased damages would have been better if they weren't increased damages, but just learning a new skill to actually attack from a wall run. But if that was the case, then a lot of players would just never get those combat moves anyways, and they would just never use them. It's probably a better system to just have a semi-skill based achievement element where it says when you do a double wall run for the first time, we'll give you an achievement. Or when you do the coil, which I don't know if I've ever actually done the coil on the legs. No, I don't think I ever have even used it in the game. It's so unimportant. But yeah, if that gave you an achievement and that gave you some XP, and then the XP led to something better than just unlocking elements and items, that would have been better. Like the mag rope pull down, for instance, needed to have been a story unlock. There should have been zero chance that a player would have just never found this option and never unlocked that option, because that was needed to defeat the story. I guess the first disrupt destroys surveillance cameras. It does say it there in the description. I just did not read it. It even shows it in the cutscene, but I just didn't pay attention enough. Yeah, because you watch this cutscene where it disrupts people, and that goes on for too long. Yeah, I guess that's partially my fault for not reading the description, but a lot of players would certainly have done that. Yep, I think I definitely want to power through this game and just wrap it up. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. And with the exception of the hitchiness that we saw when loading into a new area, the game still seems to be working fine. My computer still seems to be working fine. So, what I think will probably have to happen is I'm just going to have to play a completely different game after this and see if I start getting similar hitches in a different game. And then that might be an indication that there's something wrong with my video card. I even suspect it might be one of my monitors, which is just dying. That could be related to it also. Anyways, I'll have to just keep on trying and testing. It's way too long of a process to regain confidence in a computer. Anyways, I'm mostly whining at this point throughout the entirety of this series, so I'm going to stop that and end this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.